وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته. طيب بسم الله.
Questions that were emailed in.
We'll just take the live ones then, inshallah. If it's live, we'll just take all the live ones now.
Questioner initials NA from Ontario, Canada. Assalamu alaikum. Jazakallah khair, Sheikh. Would it be permissible for a woman living in the West to give dawah publicly in front of non-mahram men, both Muslim and non-Muslim?
Question says, with regards to a Muslim woman living in the West, would it be permissible for a woman to give dawah to men, mahram and non-mahram men? Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, alhamdulillah rabbil alameen, wa salatu wa salam ala rasulillah, Allahumma inni astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Question, or the answer to the question, I don't see a big, huge difference between the West and the East. I don't see a big difference between the West and the East. And the only reason why we're bringing this up, even though we're trying to keep the answers brief and short, I'm not saying this about this questioner or attacking this questioner, but many people, they have this notion that the West is a terrible cesspool of evil, and the East or the Middle East is just a utopia of Deen and Sunnah, and the Sahaba are walking and talking down the street. Many Muslims have this thought. At one point in time, I did myself before I went to Medina. You think this? Some questioners, they ask the question regarding music, and they say how to avoid music in the West. There's no difference between avoiding it in the Middle East. They play music. Music is an integral part of Arab culture. In Saudi Arabia, in Medina, at weddings, on the Eid, they dance with swords, they play drums, they do this. Music is music. If you say it's haram here, it's haram there. If you say it's makruh here, it's makruh there. If you say it's mubah here, it's mubah. The ruling is the ruling. But many people, they think that everything in America, Canada is evil, and that la. It's riba overseas in the lands of the Muslims in abundance. There are illegal contracts overseas in abundance. Are there certain things in which the West is far off? Worse? Let's check. No doubt about that. The prevalence of zina, the prevalence of homosexuality, the prevalence of consumption of alcohol, but these vices are also there as well. Some countries are worse than others. Some countries make just as much as zina, but it's just taboo. It's hush-hush. But they're making zina just like Americans and Canadians and British people are making zina. But it's just covered up. It's hidden more. It's away from the public eye more. And the people, they don't have no more or greater level of fear than Allah than the people in the West. They just have a greater sense of shame from the people's eyes and a type of hypocrisy. I'll do it, but you can't see it. Or it's aib. It's a cultural, no. Has nothing to do with deen, but it's only a cultural no. And the dalil that it's only a cultural no and not the deen is that whenever someone can do it and get away with it, someone who's an outsider or from another race or another tribe, they do it what? Without any hesitation. Everybody understand this? So we have to get out of this understanding, thinking this, that everything overseas is sunnah. Everything overseas is pious, and everything in the West, no. Rather, there's some cases, not all, but there's some cases, Islam and the Sunnah is practiced in the Western countries more than some Middle Eastern countries, in some instances. There's no doubt about that. So we have to, yani, as the ulama, they say, tasheehul mafahim. Before we even move forward with this whole entire thing, we have to have our understandings to be purged of these misconceptions. We have to be cleansed and wiped away of these misconceptions, because these misconceptions, they take up space. Everybody understand this? They take up space in our mind. They stand in the way for useful information. We have to pour out the cup and then refill it with the actual beneficial beverage. Everybody understand this? We have to get this out of our heads, these different things that people have in their heads. Everybody clear on this? Khairan, inshallah. So therefore, the ulama of Islam mentioned that every single Muslim, every Muslim and every Muslimah is a da'iyah to Allah. We all have the responsibility of calling to Allah. That's what Shaykh bin Baz said. Based off of the ayat in the Quran al-Kareem that are general and that are absolute. Call to the way of your Lord. And they don't exclude, they don't just specify a man or a woman. So every single Muslim or Muslimah is a da'iyah to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. One way or another, and one level or another. That's what Shaykh bin Baz said in his explanation of Rasul al-Thalatha. That's what he said. So therefore, he was also asked with regards to a woman giving da'wah. Can a woman give da'wah in public, so on and so forth? And the Shaykh mentioned is that if she's covered properly, she's wearing the proper hijab, she's not uncovered, she's not going against any of the Sharia rules, she gives da'wah. And the opportunity that the man gives da'wah in a suitable time, location, according to the situation. According to the situation. Everybody clear on this? Whether it's a man or woman, mahram or non-mahram, as long as the dawabit are there. Now, very shocking. It was one time I was on YouTube. I was surfing, being a YouTuber, and I came across a playlist of this woman, this sister. She was from Pakistan. There's more than one, but this sister, she came across the playlist. She's totally niqab, gloves, everything. I don't know what she was saying. She was speaking Urdu, and she was giving a lecture, classes. People were asking her questions, subscribing, so on and so forth. Everybody understand this? So somebody say this is haram, you can't do that. You can only speak in front of the women, so on and so on and so forth. Allah knows who benefits from those lectures. Allah knows what men may watch those lectures and may become inspired to practice the deen, to seek ilm. And you can't see anything on her. There's no lusting over her. She looks like this. You can't see anything on her. Her voice is normal and it's regular. Alright, now we have a few other issues, such as the voice of a woman. Is the voice of a woman awra or not? Some ulama say that it's awra. As Shaykh bin Baz, once again tonight, perhaps we'll just mention Shaykh bin Baz's ikhtiyarat, his views. He says, qawlun da'if. It's a weak view to say that a woman's voice is awra. Qawlun da'if. That's what he said. We've discussed this as well before with actual adillah. Khair, inshallah. Also is the concept of we have with some of the ulama of Islam, such as Shaykh al-Albani rahimahullah, he said for a woman to give classes in front of other women in the masjid, he said it's a bid'ah. He said it's a bid'ah. There is no sister's class given by a sister in the masjid. He says only the man is supposed to teach the classes to men and to women. That was the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. And he was very staunch in this. I've read this several times in his fatwa, and I've also listened to this several times from Silsilat al-Huda wa Nur. More than one tape, he mentioned this. Since back in the day, tapes, before we CDs. That it's a bid'ah for a woman to give classes to other women. Then the reason why I'm mentioning this is to show you how views can be what? Contrast. And they're both from the ulama of today. Everybody understand this? So which view do you take? Which totally falsifies that whole concept of craziness. The ulama do not agree on everything. And there lies no doubt these were from two of the most foremost ulama of this time. And they had two what? Everybody doing this or not? Also, we have the concept of colleges and universities. Some colleges in New York City, the brothers, they argue and say it's haram for a sister to give a presentation in a class. I'm not going to sit in this classroom. I shall not sit in this classroom. I will not sit in this classroom if this sister gets up and speaks. That's when she's talking about Islam. But then the kafir lady comes in, skin tight clothes, and gives a class on history, biology. And what does the brother do? He does what? He sits in the class, pays attention. What's going on with our minds, our brains? So we need to be realistic. Wallahu alam. No doubt.
Initials AM from Springfield, Virginia. I want to marry a girl who's good, Sunni, but not Salafi yet. Should I go through with it?
Question from Springfield, VA. He wants to marry a good sister, a good Sunni sister. She's Sunni, but she's not Salafi yet. Should I go through with it? I would say this. Try to marry a girl that has the following qualities. Number one, she is fundamentally sound in her religion. Meaning 5 daily prayers, not 3, not 2, not 1, no. 5 daily prayers when she's not menstruating. She fasts the month of Ramadan when she's not menstruating. If she has money saved up, she pays zakat. She's performed Hajj. Obviously, she says La ilaha Muhammad Rasulullah. She has a good, thorough understanding of Tawheed, of La ilaha Muhammad Rasulullah, and the basics of Aqidah. Not this issue and Qala Fulan, the basics of Aqidah, the asas of Aqidah. That's the only thing that's mandatory. As Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah explained in several places. That's the thing that's mandatory upon the people, is the basics of Iman. If you want more, then that's good. Nur ala nur, light upon light. But it's not what? It's not wajib to study 50 books on Aqidah. And it does not mean that we're downplaying Aqidah. It does not mean that we're trying to say this insignificant. We're not what? We're not saying that. So don't nobody go and say that. But what we're saying is, what Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah has explained, Mujmalul Iman. Everybody understand this? The basics of Iman. Al-Imanul Mujmal. Al-Imanul Mujmal. The basics of Iman. That's the thing that's mandatory upon every single person. Talib al-Ilm, different story. Scholar, different story. Imam of a masjid, what? Different story. Leader of a household, different story. But even still, everybody understand this? I may know just the basics of Aqidah, but you, my son, I teach you the basics and I steer you in a direction of someone who knows more if you want to learn more. I work 10 hours out the day. I work 12 hours out the day, 14 hours out the day. I'm a worker. That's what I do. I make my salah, I pay my zakat, I've made my hajj, I take care of my wife, my family, I'm kind to my kids, and that's it. I don't have to go to the classes. I don't have to learn these detailed things. But if I do, then it's what? Better for me and for my family. Everybody clear on this? From time to time, I listen to a lecture, a reminder, a beneficial maw'idah. I go to Jummah every week, and that's the only thing that's mandatory upon this person. It is not mandatory for every single Muslim to study this book and that. No, that's wrong. Everybody understand this? That's first and foremost. Secondly is make sure that she wears a good, proper hijab. A good, proper hijab. Everybody understand this? Make sure that she comes from a good background. She doesn't have to be highborn, quote unquote, or of nobility, but a good background. Disease-free. Strong, healthy body. Inshallah, try to make sure that she's pleasing to your eyes. She doesn't have to be a supermodel, but at least pleasing to your eyes is going to help you lower your gaze. But then that, make sure, inshallah ta'ala, that she can cook. Inshallah ta'ala. Very important. And as Ibn al-Jawzi mentioned, rahimahullah ta'ala, it's recommended for a man to marry a poor girl, to marry a woman from a poor family. That way she's appreciative and she's grateful of that which he does for her. And she looks at his charity, his good treatment, his kindness as a big thing because she never had much. That's what Ibn al-Jawzi said. No one attacked me saying, he said, Ibn al-Jawzi of the 6th century, he said that. It's recommended to marry a girl from a poor family. Khairan, inshallah. Make sure that she has good character, a good relationship with her mother, a good relationship with her father, a good relationship with her siblings. She's a clean girl, chaste, pious. That is the thing that you need in a wife. Anything extra than that is a virtue. If she's gorgeous, gawking, she's very, very pretty, that's what? It's extra. If she's highborn, that's extra. If she has her own money, that's extra. If she has this skill, then that's what? That's extra. If she studied these other books and learned from this ulama, then that's what? That's extra. But sometimes you just need that which is fundamentally sound to protect yourself. Everybody understand this? There's a proverb. We won't get into no proverbs tonight, inshallah, hopefully. It's a very important proverb, but we won't get into it tonight. Maybe another time. What's important is that's my advice to you. As far as is there a difference between a Sunni and a Salafi, we're not going to get into that right now. Allahu A'lam. May Allah bless you, Akhi, and give you a good wife. Ameen.
Initials MZU from Birmingham, UK. Lengthy question. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. May Allah preserve you, Sheikh. For 7 months, I have had trouble with my family members accepting my practice of Islam. Wanting to pray the 5 prayers in the masjid has caused a great fitna with my family. I am actively discouraged from praying Salat al-Fajr, let alone praying it in the masjid. Many arguments have occurred because of praying Salat al-Fajr and Isha in the masjid. I am 18 years old, yet my parents say it's not safe, etc. People get attacked, and so on. I always try to avoid haram as much as possible, but by not putting myself in certain situations, my sister plans to get married soon, and my parents tried to force me to go to a free mixing gathering with her potential husband's family, and I outright said no and refused. I also do not want to go to my sister's wedding, as there will be immersed free mixing with tadawwuj, etc. This is just one of the things that lead my family to describe me as extreme, fundamentalist, etc. Because I do not want to follow the secular cultural Islam that they are following. I also refuse to take a student loan to go to university because there's riba involved. Again, I was called extremist and ridiculed for this. This led to my stepfather offering to pay for my tuition, but I am in some doubts as to whether this will be halal. He works for a riba-based bank, and although my parents are aware about how bad riba is, they take it lightly. As a result, I am not sure if it would be permissible for him to pay for my tuition, as the money is from a clearly haram source. If it is impermissible, I would be willing to travel to another European country to study cheaply. I do not think my parents would give me permission to do this. If I went anyway, would this be haram due to disobeying parents, and would this be cutting the ties of kinship?
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. First and foremost, this is a very commonly asked question and a very widespread problem with regards to quote-unquote cultural Islam, secular practice of the deen, with regards to bid'ah, innovation, with regards to just disobedience. Muslims, they say they're Muslims, they don't want to pray, they don't want to fast, they don't want to hijab, shave their beards, they eat riba, and the list goes on. This is a very common, widespread problem from the east to the west. So the pieces of advice that we give you first and foremost is to thank Allah. Be grateful that Allah opened up your eyes. Be grateful that Allah allowed you to see. Be grateful that Allah made you young and inshallah righteous and pious. Be happy. Rejoice in Allah's bounty. Do not become sad. Do not overgrieving yourself. Do not burden yourself. Be happy, be grateful, be thankful to Allah. Number 2, we advise you to be patient, to practice sabr. There were people who were closer to Allah that went through things worse than what you're going through. There were people who were more beloved to Allah that went through much more than what you could possibly think of going through right now. So be patient, have sabr. Be patient and bear the harms. Number 3, we advise you to avoid all confrontation, all conflict with your parents and your family members. Do not say anything's haram, it's bid'ah, it's wrong. Don't say that. Avoid it. Anything they ask you about or they want you to partake in, tell them, I was taught. The sheikh at the masjid taught me this. I learned this. I heard it's haram. You avoid yourself from being on the front line of the pressure because they want to attack you as a person because you're young, stupid, foolish. What do you know about Islam? You're my son, you're my daughter, or perhaps they may say just yesterday you were doing the same thing. Everybody understand this? As we said before, not saying that this person, this brother or sister has these problems, but oftentimes people, they become enlightened or they get into a car accident. A close friend dies, they get locked up, all right? They get saved from a major court case and it like shakes them up and they say, whoa, I got to get my deen together. And then they get a feather, alhamdulillah, they get the stamina of the deen, they get momentum, they learn, they hear a lecture, and they go fast, very, very far, very fast. This is a good thing. But be mindful of yesterday. They're going to bring that up. Just yesterday you were smoking weed. Just yesterday you had a girlfriend. Just yesterday you had tattoos. Now you're a walking saint, and we're all sinners. So to avoid that problem, which they want to bring up, this is the Quran, this is the style of the Quran. This is what Pharaoh said to Moses. He didn't say Moses is a liar and you don't have no proof, no evidence. He says, did we not raise you as a child? And were you not in our house? Did you not commit murder? Now you're saying you're Rasul Rabbil Alameen? You're the messenger of the Lord of the worlds and let go of the Israelites? And you just killed somebody yesterday. Why should we listen to you? Or another surah, Allah tells us that Fir'aun, he asked Musa about the ancients. Ma balun qurun al-ula. What about the ancients? Are they all in the hellfire? And this is what people use today. Are you saying your grandfather was a mushrik? He used to do the same ta'weez. He used to go to the tabib. He used to do this. Are you saying he's in hell? Are you saying that grandpa is in hell? There's things that people, they throw in your way. So you avoid all of those things, like Musa alayhi salatu wasalam said. Ilmuha inda Rabbi. He says that my Lord knows best about those ancient generations. It has nothing to do with me. But I'm giving you a message, Fir'aun, to let them go. That you're not the Lord of Rabbukum al-A'la, huh? That's what I'm saying to you. And these are my proofs and these are my evidences. You bring your sorcerers and your magicians. Huh? Everybody understand this? He made a grand duel. Let everyone come. Huh? It's duha. Early. Everyone see how strong you are and how strong what? I am. And we know what Musa alayhi salam did. So Allah supported him. His staff did what? Swallowed up. Huh? The lies that they were conjuring. So that's my advice, is for you to avoid confrontation with your family and allow someone else to take the burden of those proofs and those evidences, halal and haram. Maybe you can talk to the sheikh at the masjid, Abi. No, he doesn't know what he's talking about either. He's a fool. Tayyib, alhamdulillah. Now it's what? It's done. Why I want to follow him, Abi? I don't think he's a fool. Everybody understand this? Instead of you saying it's haram, it's a bid'ah, I can't. You're asking for what? Confrontation. Everybody understand this wisdom? It's very important. Okay? So that's my advice. And do not allow anybody to force you to do something that you're uncomfortable with. I don't care who it is. If you're uncomfortable with it, don't do it. Whether it's haram, makruh, you don't feel right with it, then what? Don't do it. And they should respect your choice to practice what you want to practice. And if they don't, be patient. If it becomes too bad, too much pressure, you can't pray, they're oppressing you too much, then leave the house. Leave the home. Unless they need your service. If they don't need your service, you're old, they can take care of themselves, leave. Leave them. Not with the intention of cutting the ties of family kin or cutting the ties of kith, but with the intention of them stopping you from practicing your deen. Everybody clear on this? As far as the free mixed weddings, the same applies as well. Don't go to any party unless you feel it's permissible to go. And if you feel it's haram, they cannot force you and pressure you to do anything that you don't want to do. As far as taking the assistance from one of your family members or relatives, and he works in a riba-based bank, then the people of knowledge, they say, if that's the only income that he has, then it's haram. But if he has other means of income, or certain things that he does at his job is not all haram, then it's permissible to take, but it's best to avoid. Everybody clear on this? So ask yourself the question, is it best to take the purely riba-based loan, or to take the money from your uncle or whoever was mentioned in the question, which could be haram or may not be haram? Let alone the fact that you're not directly involving yourself with the haram that he does. So that's something to ponder and reflect on. Everybody understand this? Last but not least is, do you have to go to college? Why do people think today that you have to go to college to do what? To get a job and to work and to eat. That's not true. Certain fields and professions, yes, without a question. They won't even consider you unless you're what? Certified, unless you have the degree. And even if you have a degree, you have to have time in. But that's not all what? That's not all jobs. How many people, I would say, brothers that will go to school and they starve, come home from school with thousands of dollars of riba debts, interest debts, overqualified for the job, or you don't have any experience, whatever the case may be. So the job is not a guarantee if you have a piece of paper. Maybe go to a vocational school, learn a trade, learn a profession, What's important is remain upon what you're upon, inshallah ta'ala. As long as you're sincere, as long as you're following the truth, you have no worries. إِن يَنْصُرْكُمُ اللَّهُ فَلَا غَالِبَ لَكُمْ. Allah says, if Allah supports you, no one can defeat you. If Allah is with you, who can be against you? That's the bottom what? It's the bottom line. So you need to have that certainty, inshallah ta'ala.
Initials AB from London, UK. Please may you shed some light upon whether it is permissible to recite from the Mus'haf during Salah, any Salah.
With regards to reciting from the Mus'haf during any Salah, some of the ulama of Islam hold the view that there's nothing wrong with that. You can read from the Mus'haf Sharif and while you're praying at night. Okay? Some of the ulama of Islam mentioned that some of the Sahaba used to do it. Whether they knew the surah or not. Whether they were hafadh of the Quran or not. And other ulama, they say no. It's unnecessary. Read from what you've memorized. Allah says, فَقْرَأُوا مَا تَيَسَّرَ. Allah says, read that which is what? Easy from the Quran. Read from that which is what? Easy. مَا تَيَسَّرَ مِنْهُ. فَقْرَأُوا مَا تَيَسَّرَ مِنَ الْقُرْآنِ. Allah says, read from that which is what? Easy from the Quran. It's unnecessary. And some of them also say that if you hold the Mus'haf Sharif in a Salah, you may disrespect it, put it down, pick it up, fold the pages. It takes away from the khushu', which is supposed to be the original purpose of the Salah, and not how much you read and how much you know. What's important is that no matter which direction you go, the ulama of the past who held a view for it or against it, if you feel that it's comfortable for you, then do it, bid'nillahi ta'ala. Or maybe get yourself a big Mus'haf, as they have, the Mus'haf Qiyam. You see some reciters from Egypt, they'll have a real big, large Mus'haf in front of them on a stand, in which they don't have to hold it, and very simple. Wallahu alam.
Idris from Toronto, Canada. I wasn't skipping your question. Sheikh, may Allah bless you. How does one take their love of knowledge to the next dimension, to the point where they become obsessed with seeking it and obtaining it?
Question from our brother, our friend, our teacher, Idris, Allah bless him, and the rest of the disciples and the disciples in the lands of Canada. Ameen. We miss you brothers very much. And inshallah ta'ala, hopefully Allah will bring me and Nafis back to you soon. Inshallah. Ameen. Right. With that being said, how do you take your love and passion for ilm to the next level of obsession? First and foremost it's a gift from Allah. It's a gift from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But the gift has reasons. The reasons which make you qualified for that gift. As Allah clearly says, وَالَّذِينَ اهْتَدَوْا. He says, and those who became guided, Allah did what? He gave them more guidance. He gave them more guidance, and He also gave them taqwa. So the first guidance, the first good deed calls upon the what? The next part of guidance, the next piece of guidance, and the sister deed. So if you seek knowledge, if you put in time, you put in efforts, then bid'nillahi ta'ala, hopefully the rest will be given to you from what? Allah Azza wa Jal. Secondly is to find yourself something that really intrigues you, something that fascinates you from ilm, something that you never ever get tired and exhausted from with regards to knowledge. So if it's hadith, learn the basics, study the basics, but any extra time that you have, keep your nose in the books of hadith. And among the books of hadith, a specific book. If it's Fath al-Bari that intrigues you, that interests you so much, devote your time to what? Fath al-Bari. Everybody clear on this? If you like studying seerah or tariq or tafsir or aqidah, iman, tawheed, then that's what you should focus on, as long as you get the basics. As long as you what? Get the basics. Another point is to hang around people who love knowledge. Keep your company, keep your circle, keep your entourage what? Tight, airtight. People not who seek knowledge, but people who love knowledge. And oftentimes you're going to be too shy to be the weakest one in a clan, the weakest one in the pack. It's going to force you to what? Step up your game. It's going to force you to read more. Wow, this guy is quoting this. I'm sleeping. I have to do what? Stop sleeping as much. Stop eating as much. Everybody understand this? Your companionship is very important. Your friend is someone who pulls you and drags you. They say, inna sahib sahib. The sahib is a sahib. Everybody understand this? The sahib is one who does what? He pulls you. Everybody understand this? So hang around people within that ta'ala that have a serious passion for knowledge. And if you can't find nobody, then leave the people that you're with. They're holding you back. And search for those people who are true lovers of hadith. Bid'nillahi subhanahu wa ta'ala. Last but not least is to read the biographies of the ulama of hadith. Read the seer of the ulama of hadith, ahl hadith. how they traveled, how they sacrificed. Read what happened to Imam al-Bukhari, one of the greatest ulama of Islam, how he was humiliated, how he was slandered, lied upon. They made scandal about him. Everybody understand this? Read how he died, where he died, the possessions that he had. Read how he had to run from this one and run from that one. And that was Bukhari. But look at his book. Huh? Look at his what? Look at his book. He says, nah, he who last what? Last. Imam Bukhari's legacy lives on. And those people that plotted against him, conspired against him, only a few people know who they are. People actually talab al-hadith that know these guys' names. They were ulama as well. So read the sacrifice of those ulama, how they struggled, what they went through. Those who were whipped, those who were locked up, those who were, read these things. And read how they loved ilm, how they devoted themselves to ilm, how they applied themselves, what? To knowledge. That's my advice, in brief. Wallahu alam.
Idris, what is the understanding of the ayah, do not aspire purity to yourselves? He is most knowing of who fears him.
With regards to the ayah, do not aspire purity to yourselves. Allah knows best. He surely knows those who are guided, those who are pious. Some types of ascribing purity to yourself is mandatory, such as saying that you're a Muslim, saying that you're a believer, taking the Shahada, professing your Islam, practicing the Sunnah. Everybody understand this? Dressing like a Muslim, seeking ilm, implementing the things that you're supposed to implement. That's mandatory. That's a sign of purity within Allah Ta'ala, and it's something that you what? You have to do. It's not an option, it's not a choice. Everybody clear on this? The concept of striving to clean up, to get yourself in a pure state, is mandatory within Allah Ta'ala. And this is from the reasons why Allah sent Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Or yuzakkihim. Allah says, and He would cleanse them. Ibrahim alayhi salam, he made this dua, Rabbana wa ba'athim fihim. Allah said that Ibrahim, he said what? Oh, Allah sent among them a what? A messenger. Send among them a what? A messenger who's from them. Send among them a man who would do the following things. He would teach them, he would recite to them the book and the hikmah, and he would wa yuzakkihim, and he would purify them and cleanse them. Everybody understand this? As far as the other aspects, such as I'm guided, we're on the Sunnah, you're not. We're Salafi and you're not. You're deviant. You're Ahlul Bidah. You're misguided. I have knowledge and you're ignorant. You don't know anything. That's a problem, obviously. And that's something that many people fall in today, one way or another, and they don't pay attention to the tricks and the traps of the shaitan. People think that the shaitan is just some stupid, person that just, runs into people and forces them into misguidance. Shaitan has been around for how many centuries? He's been around for what? How many centuries? As Sheikh Abdul Razak mentioned once in one of his books, he says that when people want to buy products or they want to do business, they go to the company that's been what? In business the longest. 25 years of experience, 100 years, established in 1887. The oldest university, the experience. That you get so many things just from what? Being around the old head. He has hidden in his beard, even though his beard is gray. No matter how much hidden he puts in it. He knows certain things just by what? Let alone the fact that if he didn't have some type of knowledge and wisdom, he wouldn't be surviving to this day. Because how many older brothers what? Fell off. So the sheer concept of age, experience, life experience means a lot. So how much experience does Iblis have in misleading people? How many nations? How many smart men and women, pious, righteous people were all misled? So the shaitan is a master at his craft. Wal'iyadhu billah. So the shaitan is just not going to necessarily come to you and say, oh, this is tazkiyatun nafs. No, he's going to mix it and glaze it and polish it and make you think that it's actually not what it actually is. So we have to be mindful of that. Wallahu alam.
Ahmed from Edmonton, Canada. What happens to the children of the non-Muslims before they die, if they die before the age of purity?
Question says, what happens to the non-Muslim children before they die, or if they die before the age of puberty? Ash-Shawkani rahimahullah mentions that this is a fierce issue of khilaf among the ulama, in which he says, aqwal mutadariba. He says, conflicting views and opinions of the ulama of the past with regards to the children of the mushrikeen, the children of the kuffar. To keep things brief, he says, a very fierce argument, he said. To keep things brief, some of the ulama, they say that these children will be the servants of paradise. They will be the young children that will serve in Jannah. Everybody understand this? And there's some narrations that support this. Are those narrations authentic? They are narrations. Al-Muhim. What are that? That's the first view. The second view is that they will be with their parents. Some ulama, they say, Allahu a'lamu bima kanu amilin. Allah knows best what they did and what they would have done. Leave it at that. Another ulama say the correct view is that they will be resurrected on the day of judgment, and they will be asked questions. They will be put through a test and a trial, and if they answer accordingly, they will go to Jannah, and if not, they will be with their what? Wal-'iyadhu billah.
Jamal, UK, London. What should you do if the muaddin is doing some bid'ah stuff for Jum'ah? Iqamah and the Imam says nothing. Jum'ah, Iqamah and the Imam says nothing.
With regards to innovations in the masjid on the day of Jum'ah, if you have the ability to advise the brother or teach the brother, then that's what's mandatory. You never know. He may not know. He may take the advice. You have to try it out. If you can advise him or someone else that's more knowledgeable than you, more eloquent than you, then that's what's mandatory. If you can't advise him or he's not going to take the advice for one reason or another, you're too young, you're not Arab, you're not this, you're not that, whatever the case may be, then pray somewhere else. Pray with the people that are trying to practice the sunnah, that are trying to practice the proper fiqh. If you don't have nowhere else to pray, it's the closest spot, you can't get to another place, then you go and make inkar in your heart. Hate it with your heart. You handle your business, you listen to the khutbah, you make the salah, you leave. I've explained this many times, the importance of a Muslim trying to have an agenda. I'm going in this place, inshallah, I'm leaving this place. That's it. I'm not here to mix and mingle. I'm not here to learn and study. I'm here to get the responsibility of Jum'ah off my neck. Nothing more. If I had more time, if I was off, I would go drive some more miles or kilometers and pray with the people of the sunnah. وهكذا. And also depends on what the bid'ah is. It may be a bid'ah which doesn't render the adhan null and void. And it may be a bid'ah which takes the adhan away from its validity. And if the adhan is invalid, then that's a problem. Wallahu a'lam.
So, adhan. Why don't they go ahead? Question from Mohammed Beg from Canada, Ontario. Assalamu alaikum. I'm thinking of applying to Medina University when I'm 20/22. Should I get married before that or not? And how can I support my family, like my parents and siblings, if I get accepted?
With regards to the question about getting accepted to Medina, applying to Medina, should I get married? What should I do? How I'm going to support my family, etc. To keep things brief, the Prophet's advice is for young men to get married. That was his nasiha. And he also advised for young women to get married. Shabbat. Anyone who has the ability to do so should do so. That's the general prophetic advice. However, one may say, or some ulama may say, that if a person is not responsible, if a person cannot manage properly, if a person cannot multitask, if a person is easily distracted, is absent-minded, then they say, and if you can fast and if you can be patient without falling into fahisha, without falling into sin, then it may be best for you to delay marriage for some time. Not to delay it absolutely, but delay it for some time. to get your foot in the door, to get a little bit under your belt. I memorized 10 juz. I studied Ajurumiyya. I did a book on Sarf. I memorized Usul al-Thalatha, Kitab al-Tawheed. I have a few things under my belt. I'm not done my studies, but I have something under my belt. Now I'm going to get married because there's time that goes away from my studies. There are responsibilities that my wife has. Responsibilities that my wife has over me. Rights. Hukuk. Everybody understand that she has rights whether I like it or not. So I don't have all my time to study 10, 12 hours out the day anymore. 14 hours out the day. But at least I have what? Something. Something goes wrong. I have to go back home. I have to go to the hospital with my baby. She's pregnant. I have what? Something. And not getting married and becoming preoccupied and busy and working, thinking about the dunya and stress, and you're totally naked. You have no knowledge, nothing. So this is a balance. Everybody understand this? Having something under your belt. And if you aspire of going to Medina and you're young and you're waiting down or you haven't applied yet or you're waiting for the acceptance or the visa, why haven't you memorized anything? You should be studying in the UK. You should be studying what? In the UK. You should be studying while you're waiting for the visa. I'm going to make Umrah next year. I'm waiting for a letter of recommendation. You should be doing what? Studying. Everybody clear on this? So that's very important. Is studies do not begin in Medina. Everybody understand this? Studies do not begin what? In Medina. Everybody clear on this? The champion doesn't train when the season begins. Everybody understand this? He's what? Practicing when it's the summertime, when it's off season. He's training, working hard, punishing his body. It's not just, it doesn't start in a game. So you have to keep a steady, focused mind. If you can get married and work and study, then that's the best. That's the sunnah. If you're going to become preoccupied, if you're going to get caught up, if you're easily influenced by the dunya, your wife starts to complain, we need better pampers, these pampers aren't good enough, and you can't go and sit in the halaqat, then maybe you need to delay it for some time, unless you fear fitna. If you're afraid of falling into something haram, then you need to get married. That's the first priority. Wallahu alam.
Harris from Manchester, UK. I want to know how you manage to review a juz in 20 minutes. You had said that in the other class. Currently, from what I am memorizing, I can only review in 30 minutes.
Right. Allah is bountiful and graceful. Inshallah ta'ala, you can do it, bidnillah. Just push yourself. Inshallah. 20 minutes is a long period of time. 30 minutes is a long period of time if you sit down and calculate it. And at the same time, 20 to 30 minutes is a short period of time if you're laughing and drinking or joking or watching something. Half of an hour, 20 minutes, bidnillah ta'ala. If you apply yourself, increase your speed, if you can read efficiently without making mistakes, if you can get your brain into gear, maybe you need to oil your gears a bit. It's possible. Some people, they may be able to review a juz in less than that. I've seen it with my own two eyes in Medina. Wallahu alam. But last but not least is everything that works for one man may not work for the what? Next man. I may need to take 20 minutes to review a juz, and the next man may only need 10 minutes. He's better, faster. I need to keep reviewing something. This person is what? Got it locked down pack. Everybody's different. Some people are better than others. What works for me may not work what? For you. Well, vice versa. So don't ever forget that. When we talk about seeking knowledge, there are general principles, general guidelines, piece of advice. From what I've done, I say it worked for me, try it out. It may work for you, and it may not what? Work for you. But the core issues are going to be the same. The student of knowledge has to learn the Quran, and memory, and review, wahakadha. But certain people are different. You may have to review the Quran every day. I may not need to review, wahakadha. It's different. Everybody's what? Everybody's different. Wallahu alam.
And this is MY from Wycombe, UK.
Last but not least is, I'm not sure, Allah alam, you don't have to go back, it's okay. Did I mention review a juz in 20 minutes or read a juz in 20 minutes? Please go back to the recording and double check. There's a difference between reviewing something and what? Reading something. You may be able to review a juz in less than 20 minutes easily if you have it memorized well. But perhaps what we mentioned was what, Nafis? Tilawa, reading it. Wallahu alam.
And this was MY from Wycombe, UK. is it allowed for me, a student of knowledge, to teach books in a mosque which invites people from institutes which do not follow the sunnah in some matters of aqidah?
So, is it allowed for a student of knowledge to teach a book in a masjid in which there are certain people that are invited that are not upon the sunnah, they don't have the right aqidah, so on and so forth? It depends on the student of knowledge. It depends on the masjid. It depends on the people that are invited. A student of knowledge that's strong, that's mature, a student of knowledge that has a good firm foundation and a bit more, obviously he's not going to be compared to a baby. A baby. Everybody clear on this? The people that invite those other speakers, who are those other speakers? People with shirk and kufr in their aqidah, major problems, or people that don't follow your specific way in interpretation and sheikh and call themselves certain things. It's a huge difference between the two. Somebody that's worshiping graves, calling upon Ali and Fatima and Hassan Hussein, or someone that you call Ahlul Bidah, but in actuality may be closer to the Sunnah than this one and that one. So you have to be very careful. Everybody understand this? Last but not least is, what book are you teaching? Something that's a need, a necessity? Is there someone else that can do it? Everybody understand this? Do you have the ability to teach it in another location? There's tafsir. Anyone who just totally broad brushes this issue is going to fall into error. You can't go to a masjid and teach any book if other people are invited there. You can do it absolutely. Anybody can go teach anywhere, any place. That's also what? A mistake. Has to be detailed. And those who try to broad brush these issues, they're not scientific people. They're not accurate people. No, they never took from Ahlul Bidah. He would never narrate from Ahlul Bidah. He would never speak. You have not read the books of what? Hadith. Starting with Sahih Bukhari. You have not read the books of Hadith. And if you did read them, you read them with colored vision. Blindly following someone, fanatically chasing after a sheikh. And his ta'weed and his tafsir, which is extremely narrow and dogmatic. Everybody understand this? So it's detail on who the da'iyah is, what he's teaching, what's the masjid, who are those people. Once again, brothers and sisters, do not generalize something that needs to be specifically what? Tweaked. And if it's an issue of ijtihad, at the worst scenario, then you have your ijtihad and he has what? His ijtihad. And you cannot make inkar fi masail al-ijtihad, as Ibn Abdul Barr rahimahullah ta'ala mentioned, ijma' al-ulama. La inkar fi masail al-khilaf. If there's considerable khilaf. You have your view, your proofs and evidences. I have my view, my proofs and my evidences. Why are you better than me? Or why is this one sheikh better than what? That one sheikh. That's fanatical. That's what? That's fanatical, and that's been a means of the sunnah being stifled and held back. And the potential that it had, it was stunted because of this. Wallahu alam. Inshallah, we want to stop here. Allah Azza wa Jalla surely knows best. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen.